That line, "you can't rush art," was way ahead of its time. I think a lot of these Hollywood movies, filmmakers that tend to rush their movies need to take note from that line right there. Hey guys, this is Frozen Things Stews here, and welcome back to another movie review. And today, I'm going to be doing a review on Toy Story 2. So, Toy Story 2 is the third Pixar film and the second installment in the Toy Story franchise. And it came out in the year 1999, which would be tied with 1994 as my favorite year of the 1990s. The same year as masterpieces like The Matrix, Fight Club, Tarzan, The Iron Giant, and many others. And is directed once again by John Lasseter, and it stars Tom Hanks, Tim Allen, Joan Cusack, Kelsey Grammer, Don Rickles, Jim Varney, Wallace Shawn, John Ratzenberger, Annie Potts, Wayne Knight, John Morris, Laurie Metcalf, Estelle Harris, Arlie Ermy, Jodie Benson, Jonathan Harris, Joe Raft, Andrew Stanton, etc. And so the film tells a story taking place not very long after the first film when Andy is about to go to summer camp and he wants to bring Woody with. But then all of a sudden he accidentally rips Woody's arm, and there's like, a typical rip from a toy. I'm sure you know what happens, but it's hard to describe it in my own personal words. And so Andy puts Woody in the shelf and leaves him behind for camp. But then, all of a sudden, Woody believes that Andy is going to abandon him when Andy puts him in the shelf. And then all of a sudden, there is a yard sale where the toys get sold, where some of the Andy's toys who Andy doesn't love anymore would get sold. They get sold to a new kid. When Woody rescues this new character named Wheezy from the yard sale, since Woody is good friends with Wheezy, things get turned. He gets stolen he gets stolen by this toy collector named Al, who apparently owns this toy store named Al's Toy Barn, which was hinted in the first film when Buzz was watching a commercial of Buzz Lightyear, and they showed Al's Toy Barn. Yeah, so brilliant right there. I actually forgot to mention that in my Toy Story 1 review, but now I'm pointing it out. And so Buzz and the gang, including Mr. Potato Head, Rex, Slinky Dog, and Slinky Dog. I think that's not a character who was a part, but I forgot who. Ham. Yeah, I forgot. How can I forget him? Yeah, so they go on this mission to rescue Woody, and they encounter Al's Toy Barn, a toy store where Buzz meets his doppelgangers of Buzz Lightyear and accidentally gets replaced by another version of Buzz who apparently Andy doesn't own. And then meanwhile Woody is in Al's penthouse where he meets Jesse, Bullseye, and Stinky Pete. Jesse is basically the female Woody who got abandoned by her owner, and is apparently the jerk that Woody was in the first film. Well, at least she didn't go too far. And so the toys must return home before Andy comes back from camp, but believing that when Woody realizes that Andy still loves him. So now everyone knows that Monsters Inc. was my favorite movie as a kid. I have brought it up many times before. But what was actually my second favorite movie of all time? I didn't mention another movie. There's another movie that I don't really refer to a lot as one of my childhood favorite movies. If Monsters Inc. was my favorite movie as a kid, you want to know what was my second favorite movie growing up? Yes, guys, it's Toy Story 2. Just like Monsters Inc., I have a lot of nostalgia for first film. I rewatched this movie equally as much times as Monsters Inc. And I just grew up with it. And I even memorized a lot of lines in this movie. Like I can't really think of a line on the top of my head to quote right now. Like I can literally give a lot of examples, but I can't really think of a line right now, so I won't do that. But yeah, now I grew up with the Toy Story franchise in general. I rewatched the first film occasionally as a kid. Like I even remember watching it in my preschool. But then didn't really finish it. I even still remember which scene we stopped and yeah, we only watched it like the first 20 minutes of the film because we didn't have it was like almost dismissal. We stopped it at the scene when Sid blew up one of the blew up Sergeant Carl, I think, yeah, Sergeant Carl, one of his toys and all that stuff. Yeah, and I still remember we all like laughing so hard at that. Yeah. Now I rewatched Toy Story 3 a lot too, but actually my go-to Toy Story movie, the one I rewatched the most, was Toy Story 2, and as a kid I consider this as easily my favorite in the franchise. Now. Yeah, Toy Story 2 is the very first Pixar sequel ever made. I forgot to mention that. And Pixar makes sequels that I think are far better than what most people make it out to be. Incredibles 2 is a very overhated Pixar film. Same goes for Cars 2. But they also make sequels that are inferior to the first film, like Finding Dory, and sequels that are kind of a miss, like Cars 3, which, yeah, I rewatched Cars 3 and I couldn't care less to review it because it's just not good and belongs to Pixar. And probably Toy Story 4, which I'm debating which I am actually consider not liking it. The more I think about it, but you'll see what I actually think of Toy Story 4 in my review of it. And yeah, but Toy Story 2 is considered by many to be the best Pixar sequel, whether it's this or the third film. They say that Toy Story has the best sequels, which is why Toy Story is often regarded as the best franchise by many. Now, personally, I don't think Toy Story is one of Pixar's best franchise. It didn't quite make my top 3 favorite Pixar franchises. I think there are better Pixar franchises like The Incredibles, which is easily my favorite Pixar franchise. And also the Inside Out franchise and the Monsters franchise, Monsters Inc. Franchise. I think they are better films. But I mean, the Toy Story franchise was special to me growing up. It's particularly the trilogy. Sucks that this franchise has become milk now. But let's get back into a time when people actually never had a problem with sequels. And yeah, Toy Story 2 is that film. Now this movie had a very interesting backstory there. This movie had a very interesting history with production. When this movie was actually about to be erased from existence. Yeah, this movie was almost deleted. This movie was almost deleted from existence. Because it's not because they thought it was bad, but apparently there was an editor who was so stupid that he almost distinguished this entire movie from existence. But thankfully, this movie was saved. And also, this movie was originally supposed to be one of those Disney straight-to-DVD sequels. Like, Pixar sequels were supposed to follow the footsteps of Disney straight-to-DVD sequels. But thanks to this movie's reception, seeing how high quality this is, and especially with the animation and storytelling, this movie was too good to not get a theatrical release. So it got a theatrical release and it met people's expectations. Some even going as far as calling it better than the first film. But however, a lot of people I heard say that this is the weakest in the trilogy. Yes, I mean, Toy Story 4 is unanimously agreed upon to be the weakest one, but out of the first 3 Toy Story films, people say this is the weakest one out of the franchise. I guess maybe just because it's the middle chapter. But what do I think of Toy Story 2 now as an adult? This movie still rules, man. I absolutely love Toy Story 2. And dare I say, this is better than the first film. Now, yes, there's a lot of nostalgia for this film, especially on rewatch. However, I am going to judge it as its own thing. I am not going to bring up any nostalgia factor in this film and judge it as a movie, because you can't always say that a movie from your childhood is automatically good just because it's from your childhood. I mean, I loved Planes as a 9-year-old kid when I saw it in theaters, but now as a critic, I realize that Planes fucking sucks. So it's like saying I should still like Planes just because I loved it as a kid. But yeah, so yeah. But Toy Story 2 isn't only good, just isn't only a masterpiece just because it's a part of my childhood. So yeah, and by the way, I had to get this out of the way. I honestly regret that not putting this in my top 10 favorite Pixar movies list. If you remember on my top 10 favorite Pixar movies list, I put this as an honorable mention at number 11, and Coco took the number 10 spot. But reevaluating on that, I think I should have put Toy Story 2 at number 10 and Coco in my honorable mentions. Now, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Coco. I guess maybe I was just biased towards a musical, since musical is my personal favorite genre, tied with action, and so and I just love that Pixar made that. Maybe Soul could be in my honorable mention, but we'll see about that. I'll have to rethink, reevaluate. I'm still trying to reevaluate my Pixar list, but oh well. But yeah, but Toy Story 2 certainly should not have been out of my top 10 favorite Pixar movies list, because this movie is just so good. It's I think and as much time as I rewatched Coco, Toy Story 2 is the movie I revisit more often, and so therefore I remember this one more. But why exactly is Toy Story 2 a masterpiece? Now, as a child, my reasons for loving Toy Story 2 is because of all the action and all that stuff, like, and all the cool locations, like, and all the Zurg stuff, like especially with how the film started off with like a massive action scene with Buzz and Zurg, and then we also got that elevator action scene and the airport scene. And by the way, I've always loved the Travelinga, even as a kid, and so that was an awesome scene right there. That was actually, the baggage claim was actually my favorite scene in the film as a kid, and also the mix up with Buzz and stuff. But what I never really saw in this film until I became a critic was just how deep and layered this film is. This is it's how deep and profound this story is, especially with the concept of toys. What makes Toy Story special is that this movie is how the writing of this film is able to deliver a narrative about toys, and what makes toys toys, which is something the Cars movies have failed at, particularly Cars 1 and 3. I mean, you when you actually make a concept about cars, you should actually make a story that only would be where only cars would carry the narratives, but all we get is just a humanized story with just replace humans with cars. I mean, good thing the Toy Story movies don't fall for the trap, because these movies are about a child's love for a toy, and particularly a human's love for a toy, because since Andy grew up in Toy Story 3, and this movie basically it's about And this movie expands upon the concept of toys, and what makes toy a toy. In this film, it asks the question, what happens when your child abandons you? The character development of Woody is expanded here because we get to know where exactly he came from. We all know that Andy loves Woody, but apparently Andy didn't want to bring Woody because Woody got torn. And then there was this nightmare sequence, which is one of my absolute favorite scenes in the film, when Woody had this nightmare where Andy pretty much threw Woody away. He came back from camp early, and then he dropped Woody into the floor, and then Woody went into the trash can, and then Andy's like, "Bye, Woody," and then Woody gets choked, gets strangled while going down the trash can. Damn, that is dark. While this movie's a little more lighthearted than the first film, I'm glad that they did include some dark scenes like this one. And this scene in the opening film when Zurgo shoots Buzz, shoots Buzz, and then we see his body distinguish instead of his arms. That was a brutal right there, and I was like, damn, when I saw that. I mean, the fact that they put that in a kid in a film like this, a G-rated film. Oh well, but it's just a video game. Oh, and by the way, that opening scene was badass with Buzz shoot. Yeah, that opening scene was badass. Yeah, and I think people need to talk about how good the opening scene is more. I mean, these Toy Story sequels, Miles of Film, they really open with, they really go hard on the opening. And also I love how this movie explores the origins of Woody and where he came from. Yeah, Woody apparently came from the Woody's Roundup gang, and we get this awesome song, Woody's Roundup. Yeah, that song is awesome, and the fact that Woody actually originated from this TV show. Yeah, apparently, if Lightyear is Andy's favorite movie, it's pretty obvious that Woody's Roundup is Andy's favorite show. Yeah, imagine a Woody's Roundup series and all that stuff. Yeah. And also the fact that this show was cancelled is very interesting. And also with the nightmare scene I just mentioned earlier, Woody believes that Andy doesn't love him anymore, and he goes into a journey to try and find new purpose. But then ultimately he believes that he really should be with Andy. And I also love, another thing I love about this film is how we get to see characters shine more, such as, Mr. Potato Head, Slinky Dog, Ham, and Rex. By the way, which I think Rex is the most underrated Toy Story character. Nobody talks about him. I remember seeing this, coming across this poll from a YouTube channel where it asked which character is the best. It was between Rex from Toy Story, Rexy from Jurassic Park, and Mama Dino from Ice Age. Now, out of the three dinosaurs, Rexy is. I personally voted for Rexy because it's freaking Jurassic Park. I mean, it's freaking Jurassic Park, the definitive dinosaur movie. But Mama Dino apparently has more love than Rex. Like, people call Mama Dino from Ice Age, Dawn of the Dinosaurs, the best animated dinosaur character. Well, I beg to differ. Rex is the greatest animated dinosaur. And maybe I'm biased because he's Pixar and Mama Dino is from Blue Sky, but still. And yeah, Rex is just hilarious. Sure, Rex can be stupid. He's like basically the Patrick Star of Pixar. Okay, well, I also call Mater the Patrick Star of Pixar. The only difference is that Mater is basically straight up stupid and annoying, but at least Rex's stupidity is what brings him charm, just like Patrick Star in SpongeBob. But while these mentioned characters didn't get a lot of time to shine in the first film. Okay, well, except Mr. Potato Head, because in the first film, he was by far the funniest character in that film. His jokes was what made me laugh the most. But the fact that we get to see them and Buzz all work together, it is great. This film features some of the best locations in the franchise, such as Al's penthouse, where Woody stays for a vast majority of the film. And also we got an airport / plane, which was my favorite scene in the film as a child. Technically, it's still one of my favorite scenes in the film, and especially a toy store. Especially the toy store, which is pretty much a perfect location for the toys, considering that toys belong in a toy store, so we get to see multiple toys. And also, one of my favorite subplots in this film is when Buzz and when Andy's Buzz comes across multiple Buzz, and then he sees a Buzz from but then he sees Buzz from how do I say it? He sees like a doppelganger Buzz who apparently replaces Buzz because the other toys aren't aware that these toys are that Buzz is, not the real Buzz, and the Buzz, and we get to see Buzz like trapped for a while, and also we get to see this hilarious scene when the hell's that sound? And we get to see this hilarious moment when Buzz and when Andy's Buzz and the toy store Buzz is like, oh, I'm Buzz Lightyear, I'm Buzz Lightyear, and they fight over it. Yeah, sucks that that's become an animated cliche now, but yeah, that out of all the doppelganger scenes, where like they fight over who's the real, character, that is the best one. Yeah, sorry about that. It's like it's kind of ringing in my ear, but yeah, I love that. And anyways, yeah. And as for the new characters, well, I like them a lot. Yeah, Jessie would be my personal favorite character in the film. She. In fact, not only is she my favorite character in the film, but also my favorite Toy Story character in general. I mean, I would call Bo Peep my favorite character if only Bo Peep was in a bear movie, like that badass Bo Peep was in a bear movie. But we'll see what I think about Bo Peep and Toy Story 4. But Jessie is my favorite character. Yeah, she's adorable, and not to mention she has such an even stronger character development than Woody. She has such a sad backstory when she was with this girl who loved Jessie and always played with her, but then all of a sudden she abandoned Jessie and sent her away. Yeah, when she loved me. When she loved me. Yeah, that is the best Toy Story song. Move aside. You've got a friend in me. Yeah, that you're not the best Toy Story song anymore on reflection. And also, We Belong Together. Yeah, did When She Loved Me get nominated for an Oscar? If it didn't, then screw the Oscars. But I personally can't remember if that got nominated for an Oscar or not. Stinky Pete is basically the introduction to Disney's twist villains. And they did a really good job establishing him being a twist villain without being obvious. And he actually had a pretty good character arc. Well, I will say that he's not one of my favorite Toy Story villains. In fact, I still prefer Sid over Stinky Pete. Yeah, I did say that in my Toy Story 1 review that Sid is better, and I still stand by that. Sid is a slightly better villain than Stinky Pete. Alan is also one of the more underrated Toy Story characters, as the movie does a good job in making you hate him for stealing Woody. And hot take incoming, but he's actually the better antagonist in this movie than Stinky Pete, despite that he's just a secondary antagonist. Zurg is neck to neck with Jessie as my favorite character in the film. He is such a cool nemesis to Buzz, especially when he says, "No, Buzz, I am your father," which references one of the greatest movie quotes ever. And by the way, the elevator scene would actually be my personal favorite scene in the film. Like that when Al was going down the stairs with Woody and Jessie, and then and the other toys were like trying to rescue him, but then Zurg was like in their way, and then they had this fight scene in the elevator, like all the toys versus Zurg. Yeah, that was my personal favorite scene in the film, especially that Empire Strikes Back reference, that iconic line. That was a brilliant right there. That was brilliant right there. And well, the animation is certainly an upgrade from the first film, as it for a film an animated film that came out in the 90s, it actually aged well, holds up. And I love how the character designs the human character designs look like the human character designs in Shrek. I guess that was what animation was like back then. It's not like Shrek had its own character style to it. It's just like how CG animation was like back then. And also the score. The last aspect I want to talk about the score is probably this has the best score in the franchise. I think people need to talk about the score in this film more. As great as the Toy Story soundtrack here, as great as the Toy Story soundtrack is, this one has the most memorable with the dun 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 dun. Yeah, that is great right there. And as a score person, I love Toy Story score. So overall, Toy Story 2 is such a masterpiece of film. Such a masterpiece. Yeah, it is a perfect sequel that not only lives up to the first one, but also surpasses it as well. And yes, sure, this isn't my favorite Toy Story film, but I can definitely say that this is my second favorite Toy Story movie. Second only behind the Toy Story 3, of course. And yeah, sure, I know people say that this and Toy Story 3 are the best Pixar sequels. Yeah, this is certainly my top 5. But however, Inside Out 2 is still Pixar's best sequel, and Incredibles 2 as well. But this and Toy Story 3 are just right behind the Inside Out 2 and Incredibles 2 when it comes to the best Pixar sequels. And yeah, it's certainly one of the best movies of 1999. Though it's not my number one favorite movie of 1999, that would go to The Matrix. And also, you got other masterpieces as well, like Fight Club, which is Fight Club, and also my favorite animated film of 1999, which is Tarzan. Which, by the way, Tarzan would be my personal favorite Walt Disney Animation Studios movie as a child. It's certainly my top 5 favorite Disney Revival age films. And yeah, although between this and The Iron Giant, I am personally debating on which I would consider my second favorite movie of the year. Yeah, that's one thing I need to think about. Like, which 1999 animated movie do I prefer? This or The Iron Giant? But yeah, while it's not the best on top as the best movie of 1999, and not even for animation, it's still definitely one of the best of that year. But let's be real here. Goes to show that 1999 is one of the absolute best years for film. And for the 90s, it's tied with The Lion King as the best animated film of... it's tied with the best year in the 90s. So with that said, I'm going to give Toy Story 2 5 stars out of 5. Perfect movie. So that's all for my review of Toy Story 2. What are your thoughts on the film? Do you agree with me that it's better than the first film? Like, it's ranked in the middle of the trilogy, while it's not as good as Toy Story 3, but better than Toy Story 1? Or the other way around, where you prefer Toy Story 1, but you prefer this over Toy Story 3? Would this be your favorite Toy Story movie, or would this be the weakest in the trilogy? Well, if there's one thing that's obvious, we can all agree that this is better than Toy Story 4. Because, like what I said, Toy Story 4 is unanimously agreed upon to be the weakest Toy Story film. So yeah, comment down below, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and stay tuned for my review on my favorite Toy Story film, Toy Story 3. And also my out-of-theater reaction for the Bike Riders. So we'll see if I'll review the Bike Riders or not. But it will most certainly get an out-of-theater reaction. So yeah, bye guys.